Good morning. Hi, and it's time for our opening song, which is Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, number 361 in the Gray Hymnal. Good morning. We're going to continue that greeting. Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Stephanie Rains. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the celebrant this morning. I'd like to invite you to stand and greet each other. And please use your pronouns when you introduce yourselves and remember to gain permission before physical contact like hugging. So let's just take a minute to greet the people right around you. All right, everyone. It's time to return to your seats and take a seat. Let's all take our seats and I will add my good mornings. I am the Reverend Barbara Wells Tenhove. My pronouns are she and her. And we did a thing yesterday. We did a thing. I have spent my life and professional life in congregations, and it is always amazing to me how people come together and make meaning and community over fun things. And watching what we did over the last few months, but particularly over this last weekend, was really moving for me, and I hope it was for many of you. So I want to take just a moment and do some thank yous. I want to start by thanking the amazing auction team. If you were on the auction team, will you please stand up and stay standing? Thank you. This team worked so hard and did so much amazing work. I cannot tell you what a team we are. We still are. We're not out. We haven't disbanded quite yet. Now I would like for you, if you volunteered any time over the last few weeks, but particularly this weekend, will you please stand if you volunteered to help out with the auction? And like to particularly call out the food makers. So if you were a part of the absolute fabulous food, wave your hand. Woohoo! Unbelievable food. Now, if you donated something to the auction, will you please stand? If you donated something to the auction. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, if you bought something at the auction, and you're not standing already, will you stand? All right, so take a quick, just look around, just take a little look around, because this incredible group of people and lots of others not only met our goal of $25,000, but we went past that goal. And while I do not have exact figures for you, we'll get them out there, and there's going to be a little more auction opportunities coming down the road. But I just want to thank everyone who's standing, everyone who's sitting, everyone who's praying, everyone who's singing. What a time we had. It was great fun. The 4th was with us, and now it's May 5th. I think I might go take a nap.
Down yet, because we need to give this woman a standing ovation. Barbara was the chair of that committee, and she says she's retiring. I don't know if we can let her. Except that I know she needs a rest. Let's see, did I introduce myself? I think I did, yeah. Okay, Rachael Weasley is our guest speaker this morning. She is the pastor for a queer activist church here in Bellingham called the Community of Hope. The theme she is exploring with us this morning is, what does it mean to become sanctuary for each other? Remembering to use our pronouns is an example of signaling safe sanctuary, as is asking for a hug instead of just hugging. And learning to do those things is a work in progress for many of us. We have a grandchild who is 9 today, and is teaching us what it means to be non-binary. And Lynn and I are learning how to use the right pronouns. And it is definitely not a perfect process for us. It's challenging. But I am so admiring of that kind of clarity at their age. It's just, woo! Another way we provide sanctuary is by emphasizing that we're all learning instead of shaming. Let's settle into our bodies and spirits with some meditative breathing while Melanie plays our prelude. Thank you. Would you join me in reciting our covenant? Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant. Now let us acknowledge that wherever we are on sacred land, stewarded by indigenous peoples since time immemorial. As we dismantle and compost the structures of settler colonialism, may we seek Spirit's guidance in doing justice with humility, following indigenous leadership, and acting in loving stewardship of creation. For our chalice lighting, I'm sharing part one of A Blessing Called Sanctuary by Jan Richardson from her book, Circle of Grace. A blessing called sanctuary. You hardly knew how hungry you were to be gathered in, to receive the welcome that invited you to enter entirely. Nothing of you found foreign or strange. Nothing of your life that you were asked to leave behind, or to carry in silence or in shame. Tentative steps became settling in, leaning into the blessing that enfolded you, taking your place in the circle that stunned you with its unimagined grace. You began to breathe again, to move without fear, to speak with abandon the words you carried in your bones that echoed in your being. You learned to sing. And now we are going to sing and learn to sign, some of you already know it, a song for the children and for all of us, led by Anna Matheson. We are all the waves of one sea. And shall we stand? Do you want, no? Okay.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I think it's better to sit, so yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah. And this way also, I think you can see each other signing, which is so beautiful if you're sitting. So, many of you know this song, so we'll just move right into reviewing the signs. I do want to say that I do not know sign language, American Sign Language. So this is about all I know. So it may be correct and it may not be. So thank you. I just enjoy it. So we are all, it doesn't matter which hand you use, we are all very inclusive. The waves. And this morning, when we do waves, we can also think about the seaweed, like we're dancing like the seaweed with the waves in the ocean, since this morning is about seaweed and kelp, I understand. We are all the waves of one sea, and sea is to the side, either side. We are all the leaves with your hand, and this hand means we only look at what's above this hand. The leaves of one tree. The time, if you're not wearing a watch, it's fine, we point at our wrist. The time has come towards our body. We sort of start away from our body and come towards our body. To live, this is an L in American Sign Language. To live up our torso. To live as one. And then we are all the flowers. We're smelling the flowers. Don't forget to do it up by your nose and not down here. We are all the flowers of one garden. Make any shaped garden that you like, and it can be different every time. And then we just back it up. The leaves of one tree and the waves of one sea. So let's sing it. We are all the waves of one sea. We are all the leaves of one tree. The time has come to live as one. We are all the flowers of one garden and the leaves of one tree and the waves of one sea. We'll sing it through with our voices and signs one more time, and then we'll do it in silence. We are all the waves of one sea. We are all the leaves of one tree. The time, I keep forgetting, to live as one. We are all the flowers of one garden and the leaves of one tree and the waves of one sea. Beautiful. Now we are going to have an opportunity to sing the same song some more as we invite the children, the young people, to go to their classrooms. And you are welcome to either just sing or to sing and sign. So please join me. We are all the waves of one sea. We are all the leaves of one tree. The time has come to live as one. We are all the flowers of one garden and the leaves of one tree and the waves of one sea.
Thank you, Anna. Reverend Rachael Weasley, who's with us today, uses she, her pronouns. She is the pastor at Community of Hope Mennonite Church here in Bellingham, where they center queer theology, work for just peace, and become family of choice. Rachel has lived in Bellingham since 2015 with her partner Davi Weasley and their child Zeke and Kat Rutabaga. So here we have our guest today.
Good morning. I'm going to do a little bit more of an introduction, but first I want to start with a little kelp meditation. So our church meets outside once a month for Wild Church. In this past gathering, we focused on kelp. So I invite you to imagine going to the ocean, and you can close your eyes if you feel like it, but you don't have to. You could go to a memory of Marine Park, maybe, or anywhere where you've been along maybe a rocky shoreline with salt water. As you come into the meditation, I wonder what the temperature is, what kind of wind or breezes, what type of birds do you hear, what is under your feet. And just take a few breaths as you come into an oceanside space. When we walk along rocky shorelines, we can't see below the water, but all over the earth, kelp forests are just under the water between about 0 and 100 feet below sea level. They thrive in cold water, they provide shade for the ocean floor, they sequester a lot of carbon, and they provide habitat for innumerable animals. Orca rely on food that comes from the kelp forests. We rely on clean air that is created in part by photosynthesizing plants like kelp. And even though we can't see the kelp, it is part of our environment conspiring to support us. So I invite you to take a moment of gratitude, not only for kelp and all of the interconnected systems that it's part of, but also for parts of your network that might usually be invisible to you, but which are constantly at work for your benefit. Maybe your cat, maybe a human friend, maybe a school or a community group. Let's take a moment of gratitude for the parts of our network that we might not always see, but which are constantly conspiring to support us. And as we conclude this moment of gratitude, I invite you to smell the salty air along the kelp shoreline, and take a few breaths in your body that's right here, right now, in this gathering. So let's move into a song, and just join me when you feel comfortable, or you can keep just sitting in silence if you prefer. And you're welcome to also create harmonies. I don't know what to call you, but here you are. Amen. So thank you again for having me today. I'm Rachael Weasley, she, her, and I've been using one of your second floor rooms to host a couple of the Zoom events each month that my church hosts. So I'm really glad to be able to reciprocate the generosity by offering a sermon today. My queer activist church plant, Community of Hope Mennonite Church, has the mission that Stephanie mentioned of centering queer theology, working for just peace, and creating family of choice together. Our community has a few expressions: monthly Zoom worship with folks all across North America, a quarterly educational event on Zoom that you're all welcome to, by the way. It's called Queer Theology Sunday School. So we invite a guest teacher to talk about a topic, and then we do Q&A and discussion groups. And then locally, every month we gather on third Saturdays outdoors in Bellingham for Wild Church. And this fall, we're hoping to also launch a weekly queer pub theology. All the Zoom gatherings and events for our church happen right here in your space with your internet, so thank you again for your hospitality. So I leaped at the chance to preach today on the theme of sanctuary, because it immediately brought to mind the sanctuary of the outdoors during those local Wild Church gatherings. And also because of the ways that community gatherings themselves create sanctuary. At Community of Hope, we don't have a building, and although we have a core local group, because we have members that join on Zoom from all over North America, we identify the concept of sanctuary in a different way. We make sanctuary for each other by creating a space to be ourselves, to be real, to be queer and followers of Jesus at the same time. And even those of us who don't identify as queer have, for the most part, a complicated history with church, with family of origin, or both. With all that we've experienced, our heartaches and hopes, our love and brokenness, we come together. We become a holy refuge for one another. And I'm sure that each one of you has a way that gathering here at Buff is an experience of sanctuary, whether it's for the reasons I've named or something else near and dear to you. I was on the phone offering pastoral care to one of our faraway members the other day, and we were talking about the value of things apart from their outcomes, like planting seeds when you're not sure they'll come up, or making requests, even if it's unlikely the other person will change. Sometimes the process itself offers healing. The request honors our need for that self-advocacy. The planting of the seeds is its own joy and response to holy invitation. And my conversation partner said, yes, that is a radically anti-capitalist way to look at things. Now, capitalism is younger than the Bible. And there's a great passage in Isaiah chapter 55. Come all you who are thirsty, come to the waters, and you who have no money, come buy and eat. One of the ways to embody sanctuary for each other, as we all live within late-stage capitalism, is to hold each other's inherent value for one another as members of creation. Our value apart from any output or productivity that we may contribute. Just as a tree or a bed of kelp or a floating cloud or a shooting star is precious and valuable just in their existence, so we too are precious and valuable members of this holy creation in which we live. Too often what people end up needing when they come to me for pastoral care is to be reassured that they are enough, just as they are. Even if they can't afford to give to the church or attend as often as they would like, even if they make less money than their partner, or they're disabled, or feel they aren't doing their share, pulling their weight. A handful of folks meet with me for pastoral care without any remuneration at all, without attending any church events, especially local transgender folks in Bellingham. In a transphobic capitalist society, meeting for free with a queer pastor who is being paid a fair wage by like a group, a congregation of others, is some kind of queer, sideways, anti-capitalist justice. Come all you who are thirsty, come to the waters, and you who have no money, come buy and eat. How many spaces are there where you experience radical anti-capitalist community, where you act out and embody that truth that each of us is precious and valuable just because we exist, just because we belong to this wild and wonderful home we find here on earth, just one planet in all of creation? Need to gather for queer theology? You are welcome. Need to meet with a queer pastor? Come on down. Come, all you who are thirsty. Come to the waters, and you who have no money, come buy and eat. I wonder, what spaces are operating that way for you? Your Facebook Buy Nothing group? Your book club? Your group of parents who swap childcare for free? Your community garden? Your neighborhood? Places where the exchange of currency is being sidestepped and something much more nourishing is passing hands. Where are you valued for you? Apart from wealth, or class, or how busy you are, or how successful. Now, I'm like 8 months pregnant, and babies, I will argue, are anti-capitalist. This particular one I'm about to have is already precious and valuable to me, despite never working a day in their life for pay. For days and weeks and years after the upcoming birth, a whole team of nurses and doctors and friends and family are going to wait on this baby's every need while they simply exist. And we revel in that existence, completely unrelated to their creation of capital. One of the most profound things for me about celebrating Christmas is reflecting on that archetype of the divine in the form of an infant. Each one of us was an infant. We all started out precious and perfect, and that promise holds true for you today. Through incarnation, in my tradition, the Christian tradition, the Holy shows us that vulnerable receptivity is sacred. We don't have to do anything to deserve love, only be. There's a book I recommend to anyone in a helping profession, which I'm guessing is probably a lot of you, anyone working for environmental justice, anyone exposed to the trauma of others or of the earth. It's called Trauma Stewardship, an everyday guide to caring for self while caring for others. It's a teeny bit dated, as you'll hear in the quote I'm going to read. It seems to have been written before Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, back when physically plugging in was like a part of consuming media. But I read it in seminary back in the 20-teens, and so much of the psychology of trauma stewardship is timeless or ancient. And so I still find this book extremely helpful and valuable, and I recommend it. After all, humanity has been making sense of the complexity of joy and tragedy for thousands of years. The co-authors trace a map through our various responses to exposure to secondary trauma, which is the trauma of those we care about, whether human or otherwise. And they identify effects we might see in ourselves and in the culture of the organizations, the helping organizations that we work for. Then halfway through, the book shifts gears. The authors write, now, let us explore what we can do with our trauma exposure response. How do we alter our course to reach a healing path? In other words, how do we care for ourselves in ways that allow us to stay engaged with climate justice, with anti-racism work, with the movements we care so deeply about? One of the strategies they name is coming into the present moment. A year and a half ago, at one of our Wild Church gatherings, the focus was moss and the way that moss thrives in spaces of stillness. And I've never forgotten that. I see moss so much more often ever since that gathering. I see it everywhere. And I fondly remember the beautiful book that taught me so much about moss by Dr. Kimmerer, the author of Braiding Sweetgrass. In a fast-paced, capitalist society, how often do you meditate on the thriving that arises in spaces of stillness? The authors of Trauma Stewardship write, there are innumerable ways to return to stillness, including such centering acts as breathing, meditation, mindful movement, and prayer. Any of these can be a saving grace, and they're all free and portable. It is worth noting, however, that the challenges of getting to a place where we can come into the present moment and experience inner stillness may be considerable. The difficulties aren't only internal but external. Modern culture and its many manifestations around the globe has rejected many of the ancient traditions that value coming into the present moment. The consumerist ethos that took such a firm hold in the 20th century urges us to strive for more: money, clothes, cars, houses, objects. As we move deeper into the information age, the media industry wants us to feel left out if we're not literally plugged in to the latest music, movie, commercial, or game. With all these pressures, it's no wonder that few of us find time to connect with ourselves. Still, you are fully capable of becoming present. At Wild Church, we open with a few moments of silence, and it's outside. So usually the silence is full of sounds. Birds and wind, other people, maybe water. But we are creating that silence with each other and inside to be present to those sounds that we wouldn't even maybe hear if we didn't stop and quiet ourselves. To sense the breath within us. And to take that moment to claim our connection with the plants around us who are inhaling what we exhale. We're connected by breath. Moments like these of shared community silence are sanctuaries for me, spaces in which we can remember what it is to simply be, to remember the promise of our birth, that even when we helplessly rely on the care of others, we are enough. We are worthy, we are cherished by God. We deserve love and care, community and nourishment, shelter and safety, simply because of that promise. We are invited to drink not because we have paid, but because we are thirsty. There's a word in the Gospel of John, chapter 10. It's a rare adverb in the New Testament, abundantly. So there's this Australian nun, Mary Clow, who writes in the Wisdom Commentary and explains that the verb to abound is almost always used to speak in the New Testament of a fullness present in the age of salvation compared with the old eon. To this extent, to abound is an eschatological catchword, so it harkens towards the end of time. And she argues that this author of John, so it's like a 2,000-year-old, Greek text, holds the view that in the presence of Jesus, the eschatological moment is now. So I wonder in what ways your own hopes or desires for ultimate justice or the end of now, like a paradise or a utopia that you work towards and you dream of, how do you come into that reality in the present moment through your own practices of meditation and stillness? At Wild Church, in silence and communion with each other and the holiness of creation, we receive that gift of presence. We thrive in that space of stillness. Coming into the present moment, we hold that recognition for one another of the value of each one of us. Not only the humans gathered there, but the kelp, the wind, the moss. We reach for that abundance, not in some future time, but in that present moment of community presence. We become for one another a refuge from capitalism, a sanctuary. We do not always experience abundant life. We do not always have the energy to work towards a world of more abundance. And that is precisely why we gather into community, to care for each other when the going gets tough, to remember that our value isn't defined by the categories of capitalism, but by our preciousness within this beloved creation. We gather to go outside together and listen to the wind and the birds, to thrive in spaces of stillness like we've done already today in this gathering, to sing about this radical idea of wishing life abundantly for all who are thirsty, even if they have no money. To remember together that we are enough, just as we are, brokenhearted or encouraged, broke or scraping by, queer or trans or straight or it's complicated, newborn baby or full-time caregiver. It's not what you do or what you produce or what you offer that makes you enough. We gather to carry that truth for one another, that we have been enough all along. We gather into community to become sanctuary for one another. You are holy. You are beloved. You belong. Amen.
Thank you.
All Too Soon, arranged by Stephen Hatfield from a number of Celtic folk songs, tells the story of migration and brave persistence of women and men coming to a strange new land, Nova Scotia, to build a better life. It also tells of the work of survival, their children later departing this same wild land to shape their own destinies. And above all, it's a story of the inevitability of change.
No one
What people can do together. That was wonderful. And thank you, Rachel. We have a tradition here of taking a collection once a month for an organization that has shared values with us. And this month's donations will be going to DVSAS, Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Services of Whatcom County. And there couldn't be a better organization for the topic of sanctuary. Margie George is here to talk a little bit about DVSAS, and let's welcome her.
Well, I don't know how on earth I'm going to follow that. So bear with me. I'm going to be Captain Buzzkill for a minute here. So hi, my name is Margie George. I use she, her pronouns. I really am so grateful that you invited me to your service today to talk about DVSAS, an organization that I love dearly. I'm the development director, and as such, I have the honor and privilege of telling our stories and of asking our community to help us. I do that pretty much every day of my life. And I have a whole speech here that I was going to read to you, but something happened this morning that moved me off that course. One of our advocates called me this morning a couple of hours ago. She was on her way to the hospital to be with one of our clients. That happens every day. Every single day in Whatcom County, someone is attacked by somebody that they never expected to be hurt by. It may be their spouse, it may be their partner, it may be a family member, it may be somebody that they met at a bar or out for coffee or on Bumble or whatever. It happens every single day. And I guarantee you that the person that my colleague is meeting at the hospital this morning has only thought of two things since the incident happened. She has thought about what she could have done differently to make the attack not happen. And she has wondered who she can talk to who will believe her. And for the past 50 years, DVSAS has been the voice on the other end of the line. You can call us anytime, day or night, any day of the year, and we will listen to you, and we will believe you, and we will help you. We have a team of the most amazing advocates on earth. I've worked with lots of different agencies who do this work. Our team is the best. And I know that when you need comfort, when you need sanctuary, when you need somebody to talk to at 3 o'clock in the morning because you had a nightmare about an incident that happened 10 years ago, I know that our people are here for you 100% of the time, and in 100% of the way that they show up for people. And I can regale you with our statistics. It bears this out. I'll be downstairs later. You can ask me all the questions. I will answer all of the questions. But what I'm here to ask you for today is help. Some of you may have more than enough money and you don't have a lot of time and you are happy to give us money. Great. Some of you may have more time than money. We're looking for volunteers. You want to be the other end of the phone? We can hook you up with that. You want to help me tell our story to people out in the community? We've got a place for you. Whatever feels comfortable for you, I'm here to make it happen, just like our advocacy team is here to make whatever a survivor needs happen for that survivor, whether it's to be in the hospital with them, to be at court, to talk to them until they can fall back asleep. That's what we do. It's what we've been doing, and it's what we're going to continue to do until we're not needed anymore. And I know you all share my fervent prayer and hope that we can work ourselves out of this job. I would love to be there the day that we no longer need a domestic violence and sexual assault center in Whatcom County. So that's it. That's what I'm here to tell you about today. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
So here's how it works. If you're online, there'll be a slide showing you how to contribute. You can send money, checks, and the collection basket, as it goes around today, any cash that's in that basket will go to DVSAS. And checks, unless they have a specific notation about above pledge, same thing. And please give generously. And I know that we've been asking for money over and over again, and we just heard a wonderful commentary about, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't need money? But the reality is we do. And I appreciate all of your generosity, all of the ways that all of you contribute. And as Margie said, it isn't just money that we contribute, and that's true here at Buff. So as Melanie plays our offertory music, celebrate with gratitude the generosity that is here. Thank you, Melanie. Melanie's had to be very flexible this morning. I really appreciate it. And she plays beautifully. I have a few announcements. If you are a visitor, we'd really appreciate it if you would fill out one of the contact cards that are in the front of the pews. And you could even be brave enough to use a red cup downstairs, because there is coffee hour after church. And the red cup is just a little signal that others could make some contact and introduce themselves, because you're new. There's ways to sign up for the listserv and the newsletter on buff.org. I want to announce and remind people that our monthly Taizé service is tomorrow night at 7, both here in person and online. And the congregational meeting, which is a very important time for all of us, is on May 19th, online and in person. There are some auction items left, and auction items and events still available for bidding, and they'll be in the library downstairs after the service. We're going to sing a song together. There we go.
So there's no greater sanctuary than our beloved Earth, this beautiful blue planet that we share. The song we're going to sing comes from the Missa Gaia, which was put together and developed by Paul Winter. It's a beautiful song that was imagined from the astronauts looking down toward our planet. So let's rise in body or spirit. It's hymn 163. It's got a pretty little intro, and then we sing for the earth forever turning. For the earth forever turning, for the skies for every sea, for her lives all we cherish, sing thee a joyful song of ease. For the mountains, hills, and pastures, in their silent majesty, for the stars, for all the heavens, sing thee a joyful song of peace. For the sun, for rain and thunder, for the seasons harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing thee a joyful praise to thee. For the world we raise our voices, for the home that gives us birth. In our joy we sing, returning home to our new green hills of
I'm going to read part 2 of a blessing called Sanctuary from Jan Richardson, and you may be seated. Pardon? Oh, yes. Extinguish the chalice. Thank you. The deal with this blessing is that it will not leave you alone. It will not let you linger in safety, in stasis. The time will come when this blessing will ask you to leave, not because it has tired of you, but because it desires for you to become the sanctuary that you have found, to speak your word into the world, to tell what you have heard with your own ears, seen with your own eyes, known in your own heart, that you are beloved, a precious child of God, beautiful to behold, and you are welcome, more than welcome here. May you carry the blessing of sanctuary into your life, remembering to offer it as well as receive it, beginning with coffee hour downstairs right after church. Let's circle round for freedom in 2 circles